Hey, what's up guys? Today we'll be drawing Madara Uchiha from Naruto. In this short video tutorial, I'll be going over the step-by-step of how to create this drawing from start to finish. If you're just interested in seeing the speed drawing of the video, go ahead and click on the info card now. Alright, check out the video chapters in the description below to preview all the steps or to skip to the chapter that interests you the most. And if you already love what you see here, the completed drawing, feel free to hit like and subscribe now. Alright, let's take a look at the materials we need for this drawing. For this drawing, you're going to need a pencil, an eraser, a fine point black marker, a medium point black marker, and some crayons. And some color pencils. They're actually different mediums. Okay, so I have a gray and a black for the hair and his black outfit, and the shoes, the gloves. I have a peach tan and like a brown tan for all the skins. I have a golden yellow and a yellow brown for these details right here. And I have a red and a red brown for the red armor. Alright, so to briefly go over all the steps, we're going to begin by roughing in the basic shapes and forms, doing stick figuring, and after stick figuring, we're going to add form for the form figuring, and then we're going to put in the details, okay? And then we're going to color it. After we color it, we're going to add in the midtone, shadow, and then last, we're going to thicken the profile lines to complete the drawing. Okay, so I'll be doing speed drawing throughout the entire video. Feel free to draw along, but you can pause the video whenever you like to keep up with me, okay? Let's get started. Now, before we start our drawing, let's take a look at a reference picture of Madara Uchiha and find out what shapes and form we can use to create our drawing. Okay, so pretty much we're drawing a human figure, a character figure, pretty much like a very close to realistic scale. It's not like a cartoon exaggerated version of the character. It's pretty accurate to the scale. So we have like the head right here, oval. And then here's his torso. Here's the hip. Okay, here's the foot, the leg, knee joint, leg right here, Here's the foot, two shoulder joints, and the arms, elbow joint, hand. Okay, we draw a smaller version on the side. So you have oval for the head, cross on there, and then we'll have an oval for the torso, and then for the hip. Okay, so one of the legs down, knee joint, the other leg, knee joint, foot, shoulders, two circles for the shoulders, arms out like that, elbow joint, come out here. Okay, that's one arm, the other arm comes down, elbow joint, come out, and then hand. Okay, and after you have your figure, you can start adding the form, putting in the armor, adding details on the hair, and so on. Okay, now let's take a look at the lighting. So lighting direction is from the top left to the bottom right. The reason why we know that is because we see all this shadow on the right side of the form, and consistently the left side is lighter. Okay, and on the bottom here, we got some cat shadow, some form shadow. This will be a cat shadow here. All right, so pretty much we know. All right, so this is like a lighting direction from top left. Okay. Okay, so now we have pretty much all the information we need to start our drawing. Okay, let's start by roughing in the basic shapes and form. Or, in my way of saying it, let's start doing the stick figuring. That. Okay, so now I have the stick figure pretty much all drawn. So next step is to start adding in form. Remember, it's drawing like a character. It's kind of like building a character from the ground up. You start with a skeleton, which is the stick figure, and then you add the muscle, which is the form. Then you have the form, all good. Then you start like accessorizing it with these costumes or weapons or details like that. Okay, so now we have our stick figure form. Stick figure right here. Now stays pretty true to our reference picture. Okay, so now I'm gonna thicken up the stick figure to give it form. Okay. Okay, see now our stick figure, it's not just sticks now. I actually added the form to it. Okay, so now we have the form. Next step is I'm going to start adding in like the armor piece, like the major armor pieces, like the clothing and the hair. Just the major pieces. We're not onto the details yet. Okay, we're still in our basic shapes and form stage. Okay, so it's just like if you're trying to put in all these shapes at once, you're not going to be able to see through the form. Okay, so you need to be able to see through the form. That's why we build it from the stick figure, then add form to the figure, and then accessorize your figure. Okay, so next step, let's start adding more shapes for the armor, the hair, and whatnot. Okay, so now we have all the forms in there, including the body, the armor, and the hair. So this is actually the most important stage of the drawing, believe it or not, because everything is based off of this. This is like the foundation. If you don't have this correct, when you go into the details, you're going to mess up a lot of details. Like you're going to be refining and you realize, wait, this is not where it should be. And then you're going to erase a whole bunch of details and you're going to stress out. So spend enough time at this stage right here. It is extremely important, okay? So now I see how I draw very lightly at this stage. I draw as lightly as I can. It is to avoid committing to any lines too soon. So when I start to refine the drawing in the second, the more definitive lines that I'm willing to commit to, I'll draw heavier, so that the rough sketch will feel like it's fading away. So you'll see my real line work just emerge from the basic shapes and forms, okay? So you'll see like when I draw like all these rough lines, I'm not trying to draw like one line. I'm constantly searching for the right line. Okay? So let's say I'm drawing like a circle. Like I wouldn't just draw a circle. You know, I will find the key lines of that circle, which is the like primary lines that make up the circle, and then fill it in with the fill lines. Okay? Oval. Alright? So now, like I said, this stage is very important. If you're not happy with it, keep working on it until you do. Okay? But if you're happy with it, let's move on to refining and drawing. Okay, see now that I have a refined sketch over the rough sketch, it feels like the refined drawing is all that's left. It's like the rough sketch never exists now. Okay, so when drawing like a character with lots of details, with very refined like detail lines, you want to make sure that when you draw, like there are going to be places that's going to still look different, like proportion-wise, like little things here and there, you know, that's because it's impossible to make an exact copy. If you're going to do that, bring it to a copy machine. So but instead, we're referencing the pose, referencing the anatomy, referencing the proportion. At a certain point, if some things like, oh, looks like you're going to draw and you're going to realize like, so this is actually off, or that is actually off, okay? But don't get too stressed out about that, because that's not the point. The point is not for you to become a copy machine. The point is for you to learn from the original. So yours is going to be like, nobody can exactly like 100% duplicate an artwork, okay? But the whole point is to learn from the original, okay? So if you find little places like here and there that does not match up the reference picture, that's fine. Imagine if this character was posing in front of a camera, and if you take a picture of that pose every 10 seconds, and if you take 100 of them, and every single one of that picture is going to look a little bit different, because a person cannot stay perfectly still in real life for that long. You know, he's going to move a little bit here, move a little bit there. Okay, so 100 pictures, 10 seconds apart, they're all going to look different. So just imagine it this way, that the reference picture was taken like 20 seconds before, and then your picture is taken maybe 40 seconds or 50 seconds or 2 minutes afterwards of the same character trying to have the same pose. Okay, so if you think of it that way, it really makes no sense to make it 100% perfect replica. If you're trying to do that, like I said, bring it to a copy machine. Okay, so the next step is to trace the drawing with a marker, okay, and then erase the pencil drawing afterwards. Now, okay, so the tip is to keep rotating the paper to produce smoother lines. Now remember, you don't have to like trace everything with one line, you know. You can break up longer lines with smaller lines. For example, let's just say if I'm tracing like this line right here, pretty long line, okay? So I'm going to do this 1, 2, 3 lines, okay? See? That looks like one continuous line because I made it look like so. But it's actually there's 3 lines. I broke it up into 3 lines, okay? So now if you're enjoying the tutorial so far, remember to hit like and subscribe. It is the biggest appreciation I can give from you guys. Okay, so now let's start tracing. Okay, so when you erase the pencil drawing, make sure that you hold down the paper with the other hand, okay? So that you don't risk wrinkling or creasing up your paper. Alright, so now the next step is coloring. Now most objects in real life will have highlight, midtone, and shadows. Now, for an animation character, a lot of times they use a coloring style called cell shading, meaning that they flat out every color, all the colors. So there's literally no gradient, it's just flat coloring. It's because they can't afford drawing a lot of gradient and that soft form shadows throughout the whole animation. It's like 24 frames per second. That's a lot of frames. But since we're just drawing like one single drawing, yes, we can afford to like have some very nice form gradient shadows and then mid-tone highlights and whatnot. So see how the lighting is coming from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm going to color in the mid-tone because on a white piece of paper you can overlay color to make a color darker, but you can't really overlay color to make a color lighter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark off where the highlight areas are and I'm going to leave those uncolored and color everything else with the mid-tone. And I'll come back with the shadow color and overlay the shadow color with the mid-tone. And when you overlay those two colors together, they look really nice. Okay. So, let's start with the mid-tone colors. Okay, so now that we have all the mid-tone colors in our drawing, let's take a look at the shadow. So, now the shadow is going to be like the defining factor of how dimensional our drawing will look for this character. Because you can see right here, there's a lot of fancy shadows. This is a lot of shadows everywhere. Okay, so you're going to notice a very big difference after I put in the shadow. Okay, so now I know it's like relatively flat with just the mid-tone because there's actually many different shades of gray in here that I want to put in. Okay, but after all the shadows in there, put in there, you'll see that the whole form pop out. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, see how after we put in the shadow, the whole drawing becomes more dimensional? That's because with your highlight, mid-tone, and shadow combined, everything will read as a 3D form instead of 2D flat shapes. Now, I know it already looks pretty cool, but we're going to make it look even better by making the profile lines thicker. Now, the profile lines are the outermost border lines of each major form. For example, the arm, the leg, the head, okay? So, detail lines like on the armor or like the eyes, those are not considered profile lines. So, by making the profile lines thicker, we're going to be able to read the form of this figure a little bit better. For example, you'll be able to read that the body is in front of that arm. You'll be able to read that this arm is in front of the hair, okay? So, I'm going to grab my marker and start making the profile lines thicker. Let me show you how this is done. There we have it, Madara Uchiha from Naruto. I hope you guys enjoyed this drawing tutorial. Let me know in the comments below what we should draw next. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Now remember, drawing is like playing the piano. You can have the best instructor and the best music sheet in front of you. You might even know the music very well. But it is only through practice that you'll get better and become what you want to be. The whole point of my videos is to provide a side-by-side training for you on a daily basis. It's like riding a bicycle. I might have to hold your hand in the beginning, but just keep drawing and keep practicing, and before you know it, you'll be flying. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.